And we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Just Breathing Live on YouTube. I hope you all are doing well tonight. I am once again not in my studio, and yeah, yeah, getting Wi-Fi hooked up in that building is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. So that's going to take a little more time. So tonight, it just so happens that Britt and the kids are out of the house, so I'm like, I'm doing it here. So welcome to the my home, the Just Breathing Home Edition podcast site, and so we're gonna do live here. I got kind of a ghetto setup tonight. I got my camera, I got my computer all the way over here, and if you leave a comment, I don't know if I'll be able to read it, but we'll see what happens. One of the things that I'm really doing this for is to get me doing something consistent in my life. And I've done that in other areas of my life, like working out. I've been pretty darn consistent with that for a while now. But that's one aspect of my life. I really want to take that consistency into other areas of my life. I want to do podcasts more consistently. I want to do making music more consistently. I love both of those things, and I want those to be a part of my life in a greater way. And I know that the only way to actually make that happen is to be consistent. So that's why I'm here, to be consistent. So it's mostly about me. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching this. If you're watching this on the replay, it's mostly about me, though. It's mostly about me. Just kidding. So, yeah, that's a big deal for me, though, and I think it's a big deal in all of our lives. You know, anything that any of my friends are struggling with right now in their lives, it's usually because they can't stay consistent in something. So they'll work out for a day, or they'll stop drinking for a day, or they'll eat less for a day. And one of the things is you have to, I heard this in a podcast recently, you have to plan to fail. And I really like that line because it resonates with almost anything that you do. If you don't plan to fail, the first time failure comes, it's going to throw you off the tracks. You're going to be doing so good in your diet, and then the first day you just don't eat as well as you want to. You're like, screw it, I can't do it. I'm awful. I'm a terrible person. I can't do diets. I never should have even tried. And all of those things are going to go through your brain. But if you planned for that failure to come, when it comes, you're going to be like, okay, get back on the track. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's just get back, reset. Let's go again. And you'll see results in that way, because one day is not going to affect a month of you dieting. That one day is not going to throw that off. But so many people take that one day and it's the catalyst for the next, I don't know, year of their lives where they gain a ton more weight that they could have been losing if they just said, hey, it's a failure. It sucks, but I'm going to get back on the horse and I'm going to start riding again. So, yeah. I'm trying to do that in the different areas of my life that I was talking about, the podcast and making music. I also really like, and I'm a little afraid to do this yet, but I really like how giving yourself deadlines. I think that's especially with creative projects, like with doing a podcast or with producing a song, giving yourself a deadline saying this thing's going to be done or come out or release this day, that motivates you. It's amazing the type of hours and minutes and things you're able to say no to that come up in your life when you're consistent and when you're or when you set a deadline and you put it out there to the world. It's one thing to set a deadline, it's another thing to set a deadline and put that out to the world and say, you will see this thing by this date. That's scary. I'm I want to be there. I'm not there yet. I've done that in the past with some of the songs that Laud and Lungs put out. I did that where I'm just like, you know what? I keep working on this song and I keep working on this song, and I just don't know when I'm going to actually put it out. I'm just going to put a date on the calendar and then I'm going to share that on social media. And now I'm tied to this date. We don't have a ton of people listening to our music. There's not a ton of people that watch this podcast. But it's more of that there could be one. And at least that one I'm accountable to now to make this thing happen. And it works. We got those songs that we were working on put out. And I want to do that in the future. I want to be a little crazier though, because I think like those songs came out in such long periods of time in between that something didn't jive. Like something didn't stick in my own brain or my own process to make that something that's consistent. So one of the things that I want to do, hopefully in the future, is give myself some seemingly unattainable goals that I just don't know how I'm going to work it out. I'm not going to put too much pressure to, like, let's say for a song, I'm not going to say, okay, I want a fully produced, full band song put out, every week. That's crazy. That would be so much work, and I just don't have enough time in the day for that unless I didn't sleep. But maybe there's a way to put out a less than fully produced, full band song per week. Maybe just do it on SoundCloud so that it's not taking up money. Because putting out a song, that's the craziest thing about music, and what a lot of people don't understand about the music industry is that you put out a song, that person paid for the copyright, they paid for the distribution a lot of times, unless they're really good at just getting their stuff on every platform. I can't do that. I go to one of these distribution services like CD Baby or there's so many others, and they'll distribute the music to all of these different platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all of those things. So you're paying to maybe not make any money off of the streams you get for your song. But that's the love of the game. Maybe I don't want to do that every time if I'm going to try and put out something that's not as well produced every week. But it might be a good experiment to try to just get you in that mindset of doing something consistently, get you in that mindset of just showing up. I got to get this done this week, even if it's like a scratch track. Like it's so basic, it's an iPhone recording, whatever it is. I put something out there into the ether, and I did it consistently. So we'll see. That's an idea that's been roaming around in my brain. I would like to maybe do one more produced song, get that out first, and then maybe do this weekly release thing just to keep myself going and keep the train going, keep adding some fuel to the combustible engine and keep that thing moving on the tracks so that I'm ready for that next fully produced, full band song that I want to release with Laud and Lungs. So we'll see. I don't know. So maybe you have some of those things in your life where you're like, it could be anything. Like I said, it could be, those are two things in my life that I love doing those things, and I want to be more consistent because I know when I'm more consistent with those, I'll also be more fulfilled in my life. And that's not where I find my fulfillment from, but it definitely is something that I think if you have a creative mind, that creativity has to be coming out or just become stagnant, and you become stagnant as a person. I think people that are highly creative and are constantly thinking in that way need to put some stuff out and need to get that out there, even if it's private, need to get that stuff down for the sake of keeping that water going and the pond fresh. So, but maybe there's stuff in your life where it's dieting and you need to set some weekly goals like I'm going to do this every week. And there's like the easy ones like I'm going to work out this many days a week. I don't really see too many ways of getting around that if you're actually trying to lose weight. Because counting calories is great, and there's a place for that. I really want to make some fitness videos. Uh, Maybe want to get better at doing this and better at video editing and things like that. Because I've from my own fitness journey, I've noticed some things about the fitness industry or noticed some things about diet and um, exercise that I don't want to sound like I figured out something so unique because I'm sure other people have talked about this in some capacity, but I haven't heard some of the things that I've learned through this journey and just I won't share them all here because I'll save it for the video, but you know some of those things are like with calories. I've never counted calories. I did several years ago. I tried doing that as a way to gain weight because I'm a hard gainer, or at least I was, until you get past like a certain precipice in your weight gain, and then you're able to just gain weight pretty consistently if you're continuously working out and lifting and things like that. But it was tough for a while, and I was trying to like count calories for the purpose of making sure I was getting more than the daily recommended amount of calories for my current height and weight and all that type of stuff, age and all that. But when I actually got serious, maybe 2.5 years ago about working out, that's when I didn't count a single calorie. I just said, I'm going to eat more because I want to get bigger. And so I lifted consistently at least 5 times a week, 4 to 5 times. In interspersed in there was more cardio based workouts. And then I just ate more and I gained weight finally. So, and a little later, I have a little bit of a gut from that weight gain, which I've never had before. I was always 120 pounds since high school, which is not good. I'm 5'7". That's really skinny, really skinny. I'll have to share some photos from back then sometime, and compare to now because it's crazy how skinny my arms were, how skinny my legs were. Yeah, it's wild. But when I did finally put on the weight, I put a lot on right here. I got me some love handles now. I got me a little bit of a gut. So I want to get rid of that because I like how big I am muscle wise. I like the size that I am right now. I just want to tone it up. And I didn't start counting calories then. Like I watched a ton of videos on how to reduce body fat percentage. And so many of the fitness influencers and experts out there, especially on YouTube, are like, you have to count calories. You have to count calories. You have to count. And you know what? You really don't. You really don't. You just need to put into place some things like simple stuff like I'm not going to eat a second helping of the rice and beans tonight or whatever it is. I'm just going to stop on this first helping, which I'm satisfied from. I don't need, I'm hungry because I worked out a lot that day. I'm hungry enough for a second bowl, but I'm just not going to eat that tonight. I'm fine with the one. Little things like that. Going on walks. I started walking with my dog. I didn't start running. I'll run up a hill or something like that every so often, but I learned that walking is better when you're just trying to target fat cells on your body. Running targets, I think, more of the carbohydrates in your body. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but it targets more of those cells, and then eventually after it, depletes all of your carbohydrates, and it starts eating away at muscle. So it's attacking the wrong thing that I want it to do. I want to maintain the muscle and get rid of some fat. So walking was a huge thing. I started doing that, not every day, maybe 3 times a week, something like that. I'll do 2 to 4 miles each of those times. It's a good way to get the dog some exercise too, so that's been great. It's just little stuff like that. I adjusted the smoothies that I drink. Usually I have the post-workout smoothie that I was drinking to gain weight. I'll adjust to a lower calorie smoothie after working out. It's tiny, tiny stuff that I start to do consistently. I've lost consistently, because it fluctuates, I've consistently lost 5 pounds, and I can noticeably see a difference in my gut. I still got a little bit right here, but I can actually see my abs again, which that went away. When I was skinny, all abs, all abs. There's nothing there, so made sense. But abs went away. They're starting to come back now. I don't do any ab workouts too. I'll do it every so often if it's a part of a workout that I'm doing, but for the most part, I'm not doing regular ab workouts. I'm just walking, eating better, and that's it. So it's just basically what I'm saying. And I said I was going to put this all in a video, and I just told you now. I'll still put it in a video. It'll be edited better. But I mean, that's really it. Like there's just simple adjustments that you can make to your lifestyle that can get you the results you want without having to have it dominate your lifestyle. Because some people get crazy with working out, and some people get crazy with their dieting, where they're just dieting and they're writing down every single thing they ate in their MyFitnessPal. I think that's what the app is called, and tracking all of their. I can't have any more of this today because I personally feel like that just is stressful. I feel like that would just. We all know that stress it induces your body to put on more fat. So yeah, simple steps, simple lifestyle changes can go a long way, and you can do stuff so that it doesn't dominate your life. And yeah, that's been good for my life. Could be good for your life. Jocko, go. Afterburner orange, delicious, new and improved flavor. Not an ad. One day maybe. That would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, what else do I want to talk about? I don't know. Oh, the thing I talked about on the first podcast was the first live stream was that Eric July on YouTube, he was just creating his own comic series and kind of launching like a whole new comic brand of his own. He just was frustrated with some of the directions that comic books have gone in the past decade, and he's like, I want to see things that represent who I am, that represent what I look like, and he's not coming at it from a diversity standpoint. He's coming at it from a realistic. And we're back. Sorry about that. I am going off of Wi-Fi in my house right now, and I do pay for very good Wi-Fi at my house, and it's not very good. So, yeah, one of those phone calls I have to make as a homeowner. I don't know how many of you are homeowners, but homeownership is great. It's better than renting because you're actually gaining equity, And with the rental prices nowadays, you might as well buy a house because it's crazy. But you're responsible for everything. So everything from your internet service to anything else breaking down in your house, you got to fix it. So that's fun. That's fun. Um, yeah, so I'll have to keep an eye on this. If I go down again, I'll just resume and we'll continue on. And yeah, hope it works. What else? Oh yeah, I was talking about Eric July. So that guy is making his own comic book series. It's cool. It's fresh. It's really awesome looking. And apparently there's a huge market for some new comics out there because this guy, just from a crowdfunding campaign, has raised over $3 million. $3 million. His goal was, I feel like his goal was like 10,000, something crazy like that. Maybe it was 100,000. I don't know. Because I know ultimately he wanted to bring on some of the people he was paying part-time, bring them on as full-time employees so that he could amp up his warehouse that he purchased with his own money. He put a lot of money into this series and developing this whole brand called the Rippaverse. And the reason it's called the Rippaverse is because I think he did music too, and his name was Young Rippa, is his rapper handle, I think. God, I sound so white. Oh yeah. But man, what a cool thing. $3 million he's raised so far. And it's all organic. He didn't put any ads out there. He didn't, he just shared, and a lot of people that he's friends with shared, and they have big YouTube channels, and it's just spread like wildfire. And it's so cool to see. So cool to see. I'm really happy for him. And I'm happy whenever somebody is doing something fresh, doing something new, doing something that hasn't been done in that way before. Because there's a billion comics out there, but how many people out of their house are building a brand anymore? Like the DC and the Marvel happened that way, but that was ages ago. Ages ago. I mean, Superman, you think about that. That was like so old. What was that? The 30s? 30s or 40s, something like that. It was so old. And I just haven't really seen that organic creation of something fresh and new like that coming out of a person or a team of people. So really cool to see. Really cool to see. Congratulations to him. I think that's going to be a really cool series that he's going to develop. Make sure you go check it out. Go check out the Rippaverse if you are into comic books. I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah, what else should we talk about? There's a lot going on right now. It's really interesting though because there's a lot going on, but like every time I open Instagram or open the news, or it's amazing that there could be so many things going on in the world, but the things that the news chooses to focus on seem so petty. I don't know if anybody else notices that, but like there's real stuff going on, and you would think like that would be enough to hold our attention, but we're so scatterbrained nowadays that we're just like, nah, let's talk about something. Let's talk about drama or some like cultural thing. I don't know. It's a little messed up to me. But yeah, what else is going on right now? Saw a good Joe Rogan episode recently. There was Theo Vaughn. He's a comedian living in Nashville now. That dude's funny. That dude is very funny. There's so many comedians that come on to Joe Rogan's podcast, and very few can like come in as comedians. Usually the podcast gets very serious. There'll be some jokes and there'll be some banter and there'll be some, they'll watch a funny video and laugh about it. But if a comic comes on and tries to like do a joke on the podcast, Joe is not really, yeah, he's not that into it. He won't kind of go along with it too much unless it's a really good joke. And Theo Vaughn just seems to cut through that noise and is able to really just I don't know, hit a spot in Joe that just makes him die laughing. And then I'm dying laughing just at the whole situation. And Theo Vaughn's just so natural at it. Just all of his the way that he is able to approach a question. He's like, let me think about it. And it just little stupid stuff like that just makes me laugh. Yeah. Comedy's good, man. I think that's the one thing that I'm not worried about in America right now is the comedy scene. Like there's a lot of it's in the news a lot cuz you got Dave Chappelle's show getting shut down, and I don't know, there's a lot of news of comics getting censored and yada yada, but like I don't mind that in the comedy scene just because I feel like they're the ones that are going to push back, and they're the ones that are going to say, all right, we'll create our new fresh thing. And I see a lot of comics doing that where they'll, Andrew Schultz, he just bought back his special, put it out on his own platform. It was hilarious. Yeah, just a lot of that stuff. A lot of comedians putting their stuff on YouTube instead of on a streaming platform. Awesome. I love that. It's free. I love that. One comedian that you really should check out, I showed Brittany this comedian actually, I don't know, a couple months ago, is, oh man, let me make sure. I think it's Ali Sadiq. I'm pretty sure. He has a special that just came out recently called let me see, it's called The Domino Effect. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, The Domino Effect, Ali Sadiq. That dude is funny. That dude he has like not cadence. I'm not gonna get into like comedic terms because I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but he has the sort of comedic structural style of like I don't know, this is controversial, but of like Cosby, who's a fantastic comedian. Apart from everything that he's done, he's a fantastic comedian and a fantastic storyteller, most of all. Like that's his style, storytelling. And this guy, kind of in that same vein, is a phenomenal storyteller. I mean, all telling about his crazy childhood, his father who sold drugs and had him sell drugs as a kid, and all his experiences in jail and getting out, and just all of that stuff. The way he's able to do callbacks and the way he's able to just bring you on this journey and then, end the whole special with something that he referenced in the beginning. It was just beautiful, the whole structure of it. And I watched it twice. I watched it by myself and then I watched it with Britt because it was so good. And it's interesting because Britt is way more, she's not sensitive, but she definitely isn't into a lot of if there's a lot of cursing, if there's a lot of raunchy talk or anything like that. She's like, I don't need that in my life. And I respect that. That's a very good quality to have. And this guy wasn't raunchy at all. But he, a lot of language in it. If that offends you, maybe avoid it. But just, all right, I think we're back. God, I hate this thing so much. I'm gonna shut the Wi-Fi off of my phone. just hope that I can maintain as much of the Wi-Fi connection on this laptop as humanly possible. We'll see. I don't know. I'll do this live stream. I keep saying podcast. I'm so used to doing podcasts. I'll do this live stream for a little longer and then maybe call it a night. But yeah, I like talking though. This is fun. It's a lot different than talking to another person because you kind of have to know when they're stopping so you can start, and so you got to know what you're going to say afterwards, and just it's a different dynamic than just talking by yourself. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm just going, but I do have that gift. I do have the gift to just talk about whatever, whenever, about anything and everything. So I feel like this is a good setup for me. I feel like this is a really good setup. I can't wait till we have more people on here so that you guys can leave questions for me and topic starters, so that I can talk about those things so that you can actually get some value from this. Because I really would talk about anything, unless you're going to talk about something racist and try and gaslight me into that. But maybe I'll talk about that too. I don't really care, honestly. Honestly. So what else is there? What's going on right now? Trying to stay consistent and stuff. Trying to always develop. Trying to discipline my life more. Sleep is a big factor in that. Sleep is a really big factor in how disciplined you're going to be and what things you're actually going to accomplish. And that's a hard thing right now in my life because I want to do certain things and discipline myself, even in my sleep, and have good sleep, good solid sleep, so that I can be more productive during the day. But then that precludes you from staying up late, which you kind of need that sometimes to get some stuff done, especially when you have kids. So it's a difficult balance right now. It's a really hard thing because I want to maintain kind of where I'm at with my fitness and continue to develop that even. But then I have all those things that I talked about at the beginning that I wanted to start doing better, like the podcast and making music. So it's tough, man. It's tough because you're like, yeah, I think a lot of those things are going to happen late at night. So when are you going to sleep? And I know, see, the thing is, like, I know that there is that grind that you're going to have to go through to kind of get to other levels of success. And I get that. I wonder how necessary it is, though. Like, is that the cost that you should put on yourself for that gain? I don't know. Those are the type of questions that go through my mind a lot. And those are the type of questions that you kind of have to wrestle with, I guess, just to know if that thing's important enough for you. You'll sacrifice. Yeah, that's what it is. It's sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice some of your health by not sleeping well enough for this thing? Are you willing to sacrifice time with your wife and with your kids for this thing? Some things might be worth it. I mean, there definitely are periods in someone's life that maybe that sacrifice will lead to you being a happier person because maybe it will become your job and you won't have to work the job that you hate. So, I mean, there's definitely those conversations need to happen. Those conversations need to take place. Yeah. But it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to figure out and to know what's really worth it, because you have to define all of those things. You have to define kind of the hierarchy of worth in your life. You have to know where your kids fall on that, where your wife falls on that, where your job falls on that, like where your job security and healthcare and all of those types of things falls on this hierarchy, and then structure your life accordingly. It's tough, man, and because that stuff's always changing too. maybe not necessarily your wife and your kids, but the the prioritization of all of those things in order to achieve goals is always changing. I mean, because even in my working out, like I sacrifice time and I sacrifice, I don't know, laziness. Being lazy has its pluses and relaxation and all of that type of stuff. But I've chosen to replace that laziness with exercise and health. So yeah, I've made that decision, and I don't really think that one's going to change anytime soon. I think it'll be. I definitely will have to sacrifice in some other areas of my life to kind of carve out those times for the things that I want to be more consistent in the future. Yeah. 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 Um all right, what else? What's going on? What's going on right now? Anything good? What else is good right now? Let me see. I don't know. Oh, can I talk about one thing that really irks me? And this won't be a negative live stream, especially if you ask more questions, because then I'll talk about those things unless they're negative, and then it'll be a very negative live stream. Um, the Rings of Power. If you don't know what that is, in September, Amazon Prime is releasing a show. I don't know how many episodes it is. Loosely based on J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And I say loosely because there is very little resemblance to Tolkien's works in this show. It is such a disappointment because honestly, I was very much so looking forward to getting back into Middle Earth and getting back into the world of Lord of the Rings. This, I knew it was going to take place before Lord of the Rings. It was going to focus more on the Silmarillion, which is kind of like the history of Middle Earth. And this is nerd talk, man. So if you're bugging out, I get it. But apparently they only got the rights to some of the appendices and a portion of the Silmarillion. I'm not sure how it all works legally, what they're able to make their show around, but man, it's just been. Oh wait, hold on one sec. My dog is about to. What are you doing, Pepper? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Sit down. She's like, why are you talking to yourself? I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, this show, it's so interesting because so many companies nowadays are prioritizing to all of this cultural stuff that's going on, diversity and inclusion and gender stuff and promoting women above all else, but we can't define what a woman is, and just it's very confusing and very stupid, and it's very antithetical to the world that Tolkien actually created in Middle Earth. And yeah, the more that we see of this show from the teaser trailers, and the cast was just at Comic-Con, so there's a lot of interviews that are coming out now from some of the actors and actresses. I don't know, man. It's very annoying because all of our fears for the show, which you can only speculate before you actually see it, are just being confirmed left and right. The more that we learn about this show, the more that we see that female characters are like put on this pedestal of having to be like badasses and is that cursing? I'm sorry if that's cursing. I don't want to curse on this. But they're just it's just this Tolkien wrote extremely strong and nuanced female characters. And no, there was not a lot of them. It was definitely a male-centric book, as Lord of the Rings is a male-centric audience. There are females who love Lord of the Rings, but they also love the qualities about the women in Lord of the Rings that were portrayed. The women were strong, the women were resilient. The women, I mean, you had in Lord of the Rings, what's frustrating about this new Amazon show is they're acting like this is the first time that they're doing something so brave and bringing the women into this show that just really weren't there in the original movies and books and all of that type of stuff. And I'm like, did you not read the books? Like, did you not watch the movies? You had Eowyn, who disguised herself as a man in order to go to war and is the one that actually killed the king of Minas Morgul. Like, that was so awesome. And people loved it. There was no controversy about it. And and you had Arwen, she was awesome. They replaced actually a male elf that was in the book that first meets Aragorn in the first movie in the Fellowship of the Ring with Arwen, and no one cared because she was awesome and she did great in that role, and she was a strong, resilient female character. What's wrong with that? You know, Galadriel was terrifying. Like, you could see like the power that she held within her, and then even in the Hobbit movies, she like casts out Sauron from Dol Guldur. It was awesome. And yet now we need to have like Xena, Princess Warrior Galadriel in this new Rings of Power show. And she has to act like a teenager, which doesn't make any sense because in the timeline of history, in this point in history in Middle-earth, she's still like 1,000 years old. Elves are immortal. So at this point that the show is being made, she's 1,000 years old, but she acts like an immature like teenager, at least from what we can see from the trailers, you know. And it's just like the showrunners, the directors, who I don't know who it was, the people advising them do not understand Tolkien. They do not understand storytelling. And the show's going to be a disaster. Like that's all I can say about it. It is going to be a disaster. And if I was in the studio, I would bring up the trailer just to show you guys and kind of break it down for you so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's so interesting to see too, because the fandom of Lord of the Rings is so about Tolkien's works. Like, they're so invested in what he created, because that's, let's be honest, Lord of the Rings is the catalyst for every fantasy book ever written thereafter, the catalyst for Dungeons and Dragons, the catalyst for every fantasy geekdom, medieval-esque world that has ever existed after Lord of the Rings. It's because of Lord of the Rings. That was a really roundabout way of saying all of that, but it's true. And so the people are very protective of that whole thing. So it's interesting to see what's going on right now. Like right now in all of the trailers that are being released and the interviews that the cast has for the San Diego Comic-Con, which is going on right now. It's so interesting because if you go right now on YouTube and you look at any of those things, the amount of dislikes, well, you have to go, I forget where you have to go to see this, because they removed the dislike function on YouTube, which you can kind of speculate and conspiracy theory out. why. But the dislike ratio, like if you go and look at the main or the first teaser trailer that came out for The Lord of the Rings of Power from Amazon, it has like 1.7 million dislikes as opposed to like the maybe by now 90,000 likes on the video. 1.7 million dislikes is a statement. That's saying, no, we don't want what you're serving. Go take it back, put it in the oven for a little longer, burn it if you have to, remake it, and then bring it out to us. Like, we need like a Gordon Ramsay to come in and like completely go to town on the showrunners of this and destroy what they made, make something good. They spent so much money too. I think I've heard different numbers, but it breaks down to something like $50 million per episode was spent making the show. Crazy numbers are being spent on this show, and it's going to be a disaster. And I don't know, maybe that's good. Maybe when it flops and Amazon spent that much money, they'll learn to listen and they'll stop listening to people that don't actually care about the story and don't care about legacy of people that, you know, created this world that you're trying to capitalize off of for financial purposes. I don't know. Hopefully there's something good that comes out of this. But yeah, it's brutal to witness right now, and like it's a car crash. You know, it's hard to look away from. Like, I have to watch every teaser trailer, and every one I'm like, what is this? Like, and I keep hearing people say like visually it's stunning. And I'm like, no. Go back and watch Lord of the Rings. That was visually stunning because there was heart, and you can't replicate heart through just straight CGI. You just can't, because you have to. Heart requires you to also have passion and vision for the thing before you make it, so that it comes through in the film and it comes through in the CGI that you eventually use. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope something good comes out of it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, that was really good, Pepper. Good job. Good job, Pepper. Yeah. Oh, no, don't do it again. Don't do it. Oh, you're going to try it again. No. Oh, jeez. Okay. That was pretty good, too. You didn't shake the camera too much. That was pretty good. She, like, navigated around the tripod very delicately. That was good. You're a good girl. Yeah. Benefits of doing this at home. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end it here because my Wi-Fi probably won't last for much longer. And yeah, but it's been good. I'll do this. I don't, honestly, I keep saying that the Wi-Fi is going to be done in the studio soon, and hopefully it is soon. I would love to do it in there just because I have all my equipment right there. So it'd just be a lot easier. But I don't know. Maybe I'll do it from here again this week or from another location soon to be seen on camera. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to head out, and I will see you guys on the next live stream. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. We'll be putting out more podcasts. We're putting out home editions pretty consistently. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do some more podcasts in studio soon too. So love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.